is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestants. Player 1. Player 2. Player 3. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thank you, Johnny Gilbert, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Let's take you right now into the Jeopardy round. Clues are worth $200 to $1,000 in these categories. Brutus. Divide and conquer. I beg your pardon. The short form. Not nominated for Best Picture. And, yo, Jimmy. Okay, let's get back into this. Player 1, you make the next selection as we continue. He penned the immortal line, "The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves." Okay, Player 1. That's right, way to go. Please pick again. In this 13th century work, Brutus is described as suffering in the lowest pit of hell. Yes, Player 1? Right you are. You again, Player 1. This Greek biographer of parallel lives suggested Brutus was Julius Caesar's illegitimate son. Yes, Player 1? You are correct. Player 1. Brutus joined a conspiracy to assassinate Julius Caesar that was led by this man. Player 1? That is correct. Player 1. During the Roman Civil War, Brutus sided with this man, but was later pardoned by Julius Caesar. Oops. Yes, Player 1? Good. We return to you, Player 1. It's 27 divided by 3. Let's hear it, Player 2. You got it. Player 2. 121 divided by 11 equals this. Okay, Player 1. Correct. Player 1. Negative 72 divided by negative 9 equals this. Player 1. Correct. You get to pick again. 252 divided by 4 equals this. Player 2. You got it. All right, let's get 1,252 divided by 4 equals this. Player 1. Right. Player 1, make a selection, please, as we continue. Gerald Ford issued 382 pardons, but the one issued to this man in 1974 is said to have cost Ford the 1976 election. Okay, Player 3. Yes. Player 3. In 1994, he was pardoned for leading a coup versus the president of Venezuela. By 1999, he was the president. Okay, Player 1. Yep. Player 1. In 2001, she was pardoned for a 1974 armed bank robbery and for using a firearm during a felony. Yes, Player 1. Good. Select again. The Wall Street Journal wanted an immediate pardon for him after his perjury conviction in the Valerie Plame case. Yes, player 3? You are correct. All right, let's get this Secretary of Defense was pardoned for his role in Iran-Contra. It's player 2. Good. Player 2, you're in command of the board as we continue. Frag, meaning to kill a fellow soldier, started as a short form of this term for a type of grenade. Okay, player 1. Good. Player 1, if your internist gives you a script, it's short for this. Player 2. Good. Player 2, buck, as in dollar, is short for this item once used in trade and barter. Yes, player 2. That's correct. Player 2, a cab you drink is short for this word. Let's hear it, player 1.
Yeah!
Right. Player 1. Answer, the Daily Double. You are currently in the lead. Player 1, give us a wager. All right, here's your clue. A cab you ride in is short for this word. Congratulations, you're still in first, player 1. You get to pick again, player 1. Bogey and Hepburn floated across the screen in this 1951 film that pleased audiences and critics, but not the Academy. It's player 2. Yes. Player 2, you couldn't drag a Best Picture nomination out of the Academy for this 1959 Billy Wilder film. Well, nobody's perfect. Okay, player 3. That's correct. Player 3. The Academy must have been out to lunch not nominating this 1961 Audrey Hepburn-George Peppard film. Let's hear it, player 3. Right. Select again. In 1954, this Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly starer from Alfred Hitchcock didn't get a second glance. Okay, player 2. Good for you. Player 2. Driving Miss Daisy won for 1989, the year this Spike Lee film about urban racism was passed over. Okay, player 3. Yep. Okay, let's get back into this. In the comics, Jimmy Olsen was this hero's cub reporter pal. It's player 2.
Yeah!
Good. Player 2. A book by former President Jimmy Carter compared Israel's treatment of Palestinians to this policy of white South Africa. Yes, player 3. Yes. Player 3. From 1957 to 1971, Jimmy Hoffa was the president of this labor union. Yes, player 3. That's right. Way to go. Player 3. The Jimmy was a popular SUV from this American automaker. Yes, player 2. That's correct. Let's have a look at the $1,000 clue. He's Jerry Lee Lewis's famous evangelist cousin. Okay, player 2. Good. The selection will be yours, player 3, when you return from this break. Categories for the Double Jeopardy round are Baseball franchise shifts, Medieval Europe, The meaning of the prefix, Science Guys, Classic Kids Lit, and Countries by Newspaper. Hey, it's still anyone's game, and player 3, you get to select first. In 1958, the Dodgers and this team moved west to California. It's player 1. Good. A lot of clues. The Braves spent 82 seasons in Boston and more than 40 in Atlanta, with a 13-season stop in this city. Player 1. Correct. You get to pick again. Answer. The first of the 2 daily doubles. You are currently in the lead. Here is your clue. In 1955, the Philadelphia Athletics moved to this city, where they remained for 13 seasons. That puts you even further ahead. We return to you, player 1. After the 1960 season, the Washington Senators left the capital and headed west to this town. It's player 1. Good. We return to you. In 1972, the new Washington Senators moved west and became this team. Okay, player 2. You got it. All right, let's get back into this. Here's Kelly with the clue.
Bodiam Castle in Sussex was built during the 100 Years' War to defend England from this foe.
Player 3. Right you are. Player 3. St. Augustine established himself in this city as the first Archbishop of the English Church. Yes, player 2. Good. Player 2. In the 1177 Peace of Venice, Frederick I, nicknamed this for his red beard, acknowledged Alexander III as Pope. Yes, player 2. Correct. Player 2. We're in love with the medieval French literary work called This of the Rose. Player 3. Right you are. A lot of clues. This dynasty of Frankish kings ruled France from 751 to 987. Okay, player 1. Good. Where do we begin, player 1? Hemi. Let's hear it, player 2. Good for you. Player 2. You start die, as in dicephalus. Yes, player 1? That is correct. Player 1, contra. Let's hear it, player 1. Yes. Player 1, anti. Yes, player 2. Good. Where do we begin? Circum. It's player 3. Yes. Where do we begin, player 3? His grandfather, Erasmus, argued in favor of evolution 60 years before he took up the cause himself. Let's hear it, player 1. Right you are. Player 1. In 1920, he was named Director of the Institute of Theoretical Physics in Copenhagen. Let's hear it, player 3. Yep. Player 3, start us. This German physicist won a 1918 Nobel Prize for his quantum theory. Okay, player 3. Yes. Player 3, pick again. Until his death in 1907, this chemist headed the Weights and Measures Bureau in St. Petersburg, Russia. Let's hear it, player 1. Good for you. Player 1, where do we start? Answer. Looks like the second daily double. And you're in the lead now. Player 1, please select your wager. Answer. In 1855, Napoleon III swung a deal, arranging for this man's appointment as physicist at the Paris Observatory. You have maintained your lead. Way to go. Player 1, choose again. This story begins, all children except one grow up. Yes, player 2. That's correct. Player 2. In a novel by Frances Hodgson Burnett, 7-year-old Cedric Errol inherits a title and is known as Little Lord This. It's player 3. Correct. Player 3. This classic is the first book in Madeleine L'Engle's Time Quartet. Okay, player 3. That's it. Player 3 completes the title of a classic about an African-American family, Roll of Thunder. Okay, player 2. You were correct. Player 2. The Black Pearl and Island of the Blue Dolphins are two classics by him. Okay, player 2. Good for you. We return to you, player 2. The Sydney Morning Herald, the Queensland Independent. Okay, player 2. That's correct. Please pick again. The Shizuoka Shimbun, the Nikkan Ubejiho. Okay, player 3. Correct. Player 3. Avanti, Il Messaggero. Yes, player 3. That is correct. We return to you, player 3. Haaretz, Ma'ariv. Player 2. Yep. Now let's take a look at that $2,000 clue, shall we? Jelens Posten, Politiken. Yes, player 2. That's correct. You all move on to Final Jeopardy, which will continue after these messages. Here's today's Final Jeopardy category. 19th century names. So, what's your wager? The final Jeopardy clue is as follows. He got the name by which he's best known because Mexican victims of his attacks would cry out in terror to St. Jerome. What did you say? How much do you add to your total with that correct response? What did you put as your response? And that correct response will add... What did you say? And that correct response will add... Yeah! You've come out ahead as our champion player, too. We'll see you next time.